Good morning. We are All Souls Unitarian Universalist Church. I am the Reverend Ron Phares. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm so happy to see you. It's important that we gather at this time. It's weird because today's all about the darkness and it's the brightest day it's been in. Yeah, sometimes it cooperates and other times we should be grateful. It's beautiful. But the days are getting shorter and shorter and the nights are longer. It's important that we gather then as the darkness gathers planetarily and politically and possibly even personally. Our desire to be together in this manner and place speaks to a wisdom inside each of us. It is a wisdom that understands that when we gather our light, the light inherent in each of us, and find it mirrored in one another, the illumination, the insight, the warmth, compassion, and conviction amplifies exponentially. It amplified something, anyway. It's going to be one of those Sundays. Oh, boy. And so, we welcome you in all your frailty, in all your glory, your hope, your pain, your compassion, your action, your luminosity, and even, yes, your darkness. This light of lights that we call a congregation calls to all. And we mean that, so we especially want to emphasize and reiterate a special welcome to those whose society has historically tried to dim. We want to say to our gay, bi, trans, and queer siblings, thank you for being you. And for being here still. We want to say, you know, these folks have been told in other churches, right? Katie and I were talking about this morning. These folks have been told in other churches that being who they were would lead them to hell, right? It led them to All Souls. And we're glad it did. We love you. We want to say to people of color, thank you for being you and for being here. We need all your brightness this season. It's a sign and a promise and a responsibility. It is a sign that the darkness will not last and a promise that regeneration will come, and a responsibility to keep our light shining as others have done here throughout the ages. The fire has been tended on this land by Ute, Comanche, Arapaho, Apache, Cheyenne, Kiowa, Pawnee, and Lakota, and now you as well. May our light, and may that light, be a welcome and guide. In fact, let's shine some of that light on the folks beaming in from further afield. Let's give a wave to our remote viewers. We're glad you're here as well. All right, and I think this might work for you. There's a URL in the chat if it doesn't, but I would like everyone to take out their cell phone. An unusual move, perhaps in church. Open your photo app thing. Is it not an app? I don't know. Camera. And now point it at the screen. You might have to zoom in. Click on that thing. And it takes you to our newsletter. All right, so we don't have announcements in church, but every Sunday that QR code will appear at this time. I'll invite you to take out your phone. You click the QR code, and this is how you stay informed about things that are happening, that are upcoming at church. For instance, if you read that, you will know that there's no church at this time next Sunday. There's no church at this time next Sunday here. It's Christmas Eve. So we're doing a Christmas Eve service. And to find out the time for that Christmas Eve service, you'll have to read the newsletter.
7 p.m.
Or just listen to spoilers from the front row. Let us rise in body or spirit and declare our community in song and how we are a light to the world.
Round and round the earth is turning.
How many UUs does it take to change a light bulb? This statement was issued. We choose not to make a statement either in favor or against the need for a light bulb. However, in your own journey, if you have found that a light bulb works for you, that's fine. You are invited to write a poem or compose a modern dance about your personal relationship with your light bulb and present it next month at our annual light bulb service, in which we will explore a number of light bulb traditions, including incandescent, fluorescent, three-way, long life, or any additional non-dark resources, all of which represent equally valid paths to luminescence. So Reverend Ron asked me to reflect on how UUism has renewed my light. That Garrison Keillor joke could be my whole reflection, but I do have more. Brian and I started attending All Souls in 1998. We used to live just east of the Divine Redeemer neighborhood and would go on long walks with our dog. Now, Divine Redeemer has this huge foot-lighted statue of Jesus on the south exterior wall. And when we walked by it, I kid you not, the light would flicker off. Every time. So we'd laugh, and I'd suggest maybe we should start going to church. So that October, we darkened the doors of All Souls. It was a lay-led service, and there was this incredible drumming group. Definitely not the high Episcopalian church service that I grew up with. I remember Richard and Barbara Colehouse right over there welcoming us afterwards and saying, "It's not always like this." And honestly, we would have been okay if it had always been like that. It renewed our light. There was an interim minister at the time, Liz McMaster, and the search team was in the process of what would culminate in calling of Rev Ellen Johnson-Fay. I wrote this before I knew she was going to be here, so I wanted you to know that. We loved Reverend Liz, and to this day, we still honor her practice of Buy Nothing Day on the day after Thanksgiving. We joined the church and had our first child, and then our second, dedicated here. Being a full-time mom was great for me, but I did miss contributing to something greater. Joining the worship team and getting involved in planning the summer lay-led services first definitely renewed my intellectual light. Working with Reverend Ellen, absorbing the light she shared from her studies with Thich Nhat Hanh was enlightening and rewarding. Honestly, every professional and lay leader I've had a chance to learn from, either as a volunteer or a member in the pews, has offered me an opportunity to learn and grow, and hopefully to reflect back the light that they have shared with me. I think the brightest lights that keep me coming and committed to All Souls are the individuals who do so much to make this place run. I see Becky and Gary, and now Kate Harrison, working on the building and grounds, setting up tables for meetings, reading, preparing, presenting, things about the church and UUA. Barb Colehouse and her institutional memory that she provides. Rick and Joe, Karen Meadows, the unseen and very important technical person. Carla, Larry, Bart, Terry, and Richard, Justin, and Aaron. The pillars of this church remind me that this is a place that needs lots of lights to keep it glowing for others in Colorado Springs to find, so that they can come into our light and renew their own.
Good morning. My name is Rebecca Harrison, and I go by Becky most of the time. My pronouns are she, her, and I am your ASUUC Board President. Our Unitarian Universalist tradition is rich, broad, and deep. The same can be said of All Souls UU commitment to and participation in that tradition. Our congregation has been in reciprocal ministry with many clergy throughout our history, and it just so happens that we presently are in formal and informal relationship with not one, not two, not three, but 4 people on the ministerial path in our tradition. Rev Ellen Johnson-Fay is All Souls Minister Emeritus, serving our congregation as minister from 1999 to 2006. Reverend Julia McKay is the Minister Emeritus from High Plains UU, serving as their minister from 2019 to 2022. Sonya Bergeron is presently a ministerial candidate and a hospice chaplain. We hope to formalize our relationship with her in the near future. And of course, Reverend Ron Phares is our newly called minister. Each of these ministers have entered into a covenant of professional relationship of support with our present minister. Today, we want to acknowledge 2 things. First, we wish to appreciate the breadth and depth of our UU faith as represented by the 4 ministers with whom we are in relationship. Second, we want to acknowledge and sanctify the covenant between Reverend Ron and his colleagues through ceremony. Reverend Ron, would you please gather a small handful of our communion soil in which we have released an old way and planted a new way? Sonya and Reverends McKay and Johnson-Fay, would you please wet your fingers in the water in which flows the character of this congregation? In turn, I ask you to now bring the water to the earth. As the water binds to earth and makes it fruitful, as spirit binds to tradition and makes it real, may your covenants secure your relationship, beautify your path, and enrich our congregation. We thank you for your past, present, and future service.
It's going to stay with us for a bit. Our congregation, our traditions spiral through time, returning, repeating, and propelling. And this is also true with the seasons, our planet, and our lives, circles within circles. Now look, we are honored to welcome you all into fellowship and covenant, but it is worth noting that those of you from High Plains have had a unique and poignant collective journey to All Souls. So perhaps a special word from a familiar face is warranted.
Good morning, everyone. So good to see all these smiling, joyful faces. How good is this, right? It strengthens both of our communities to come together as one now in this time. And I just want to say thank you to Reverend Ron and All Souls for being so open-hearted and open-armed to me and all of us. The sense in this community has really popped wide open in a way I've never seen it before. And so I'm so excited for our future with you. And One of the reasons for this ceremony among ministers is that we promise as ministers to have a covenant with one another to support the lead minister. So I am here to do whatever I can to support Ron's ministry and contribute to this community in ways that I can. I left All Souls in duress in February of 22. I have MS and I have a lung disease, and I no longer could serve full-time as a minister, which is part of what I think led us all here. So grateful to be with you, and I just want to thank you from my heart and the heart of our community for welcoming us. Thank you so much.
So we approach the solstice, friends. Next week is the nadir of light in our hemisphere. And somehow that is not only cosmological, but also perhaps political. I don't know about you, but the dread of the world has taken up residence in my gut. It keeps me up at night. And the night, right now, goes on and on. The list of horrors is long and includes events both near and far. There is too much threat and too much suffering, too much fear and greed to feed them. It is indeed a dark night of our collective soul. But we are not powerless. We are not without hope, and we are not without tools. The tools that we craft in this space are ethical and spiritual in nature. Earlier this season, we opened the door to the other world, the underworld, and found there creative energy and connection empowered by limits and cycles. And while that is a place we must go, it is not a place to stay. Life's spiral is incessant. Despite that, it is easy to mistake the present for the always. And so in these dark days, we tell ourselves tales of light. We remember Raven's wisdom and high jinks and are perhaps victimized by it to some degree. We remember Mary's birthing and the glad long days of the summer sun returning us to verdant life. We are in covenant with these stories and this hope. We wield them like a torch that both lights our way and keeps us warm as we huddle close and trek toward the unconquered sun. For that, we need actually look no further than our Mass, as indeed we have done this morning. My friends, this is the Sol Invictus, the indomitable sun. For the sun we avow and affirm is in everyone. The light by sheer grace kindles in your being. The promise of life in our midst, in this room, on either side of you, in back of you, before you. In your own beating hearts and the beating hearts all around you. This joy, this light this promise, this covenant. We are the rising sun.
We are the rising sun. We are the change. We are the ones we've been looking for, and we are running. We are the rising sun. We are the change. We are the ones we've been looking for, and we are dawning. We are the rising sun. I'll get it eventually. We are the change. We are the ones we've been waiting for, and we are dawning. We are the rising harmonies. We are the change. We are the ones we've been waiting for, and we are dawning. We are the rising sun. We are the change. We are the ones we are waiting for, and we are dawning. We are the rising sun. We are the change. We are the ones we've been waiting for, and we are dawning. We are the rising sun. We are the change. We are the ones we've been waiting for, and we are chanting. One more time. The rising sun. We are the change. We are the ones we've been waiting for, and we are dawning. Do that again. We are dawning. One more time. We are dawning.
This is the spirit of our promise, the spirit of our covenant, this internal star bequeathed to us by our Mother Earth and Grandmother Sun, refined and put to purpose by our living. It is the burning bright light of our yearning, our love, our hope, and pain, and loss, and compassion. This is what the star promises in the dark. Our promise, a star itself. Our covenant, a sun that shines on everyone. May we be among those who give life, who shine light in dark places, who lay hands on soil and nurse from it new beginnings, for we are the nursed soil. We are the new beginnings. We are Sol Invictus. This is our story, our responsibility, and our gift. Know this when the circumstances make you wonder where the light is. All right, remain standing for the benediction. As we leave this sacred time and place that we have created together, we say hello, we say goodbye, we give blessings on each other, we enter into covenant, and that covenant doesn't end. Let us go forth and shine our light on the world. Let us be a light in the world together and in our individual action in this place. And let's go singing.
I'm burning bright like kerosene.